Pandas read_sv, low_memory and type options. Gives an error. Break time equals 1s/break, columns 4, 5, 7, 16. Have mixed types. Specified type option on import or set low_memory equals false. Why is the type option related to low_memory, and why might low_memory equals false help?
Try. According to the Pandas documentation, type name or dictive column dash type. As for low_memory, it's true by default and isn't yet documented. I don't think it's relevant though. The error message is generic, so you shouldn't need to mess with low_memory anyway. Hope this helps and let me know if you have further problems.
The deprecated low_memory option. The low_memory option is not properly deprecated, but it should be, since it does not actually do anything differently. Source. The reason you get this low_memory warning is because guessing dtypes for each column is very memory demanding. Pandas tries to determine what dtype to set by analyzing the data in each column. Dtype guessing, very bad. Pandas can only determine what dtype a column should have once the whole file is read. This means nothing can really be parsed before the whole file is read unless you risk having to change the dtype of that column when you read the last value. Consider the example of one file which has a column called user_id. It contains 10 million rows where the user_id is always numbers. Since Pandas cannot know it is only numbers, it will probably keep it as the original strings until it has read the whole file. Specifying dtypes should always be done. Adding to the pd.read_csv call will make Pandas know when it starts reading the file that this is only integers. Also worth noting is that if the last line in the file would have foobar written in the user_id column, the loading would crash if the above dtype was specified. Example of broken data that breaks when dtypes are defined. Dtypes are typically a numpy thing, read more about them here. This URL. What dtypes exists? We have access to numpy dtypes, float, int, bool, time delta 64, ns, and datetime 64, ns. Note that the numpy date, time dtypes are not time zone aware. Pandas extends this set of dtypes with its own datetime 64, ns, which is a time zone aware timestamp. Category A, which is essentially an enum, strings represented by integer keys to save. Period, not to be confused with the time delta, these objects are actually anchored to specific time periods. Sparse, int, sparse, float, is for sparse data or a data that has a lot of holes in it, and instead of saving the nan or none in the dataframe it omits the objects, saving space. Interval A is a topic of its own, but its main use is for indexing. See more here. int 8, int 16, int 32, int 64, uint 8, uint 16, uint 32, uint 64 are all Pandas specific integers that are nullable, unlike the numpy variant. String A is a specific dtype for working with string data and gives access to the .str attribute on the series. Boolean A is like the numpy A boola, but it also supports missing data. Read the complete reference here. Pandas dtype reference. Gotchas, caveats, notes. Setting dtype equals object will silence the above warning, but will not make it more memory efficient, only process efficient if anything. Setting dtype equals Unicode will not do anything, since to numpy, a Unicode is represented as object. Usage of converters. @Sparrow correctly points out the usage of converters to avoid Pandas blowing up when encountering a foobar in a column specified as int. I would like to add that converters are really heavy and inefficient to use in Pandas and should be used as a last resort. This is because the read_csv process is a single process. CSV files can be processed line by line and thus can be processed by multiple converters in parallel more efficiently by simply cutting the file into segments and running multiple processes, something that Pandas does not support. But this is a different story.
This should solve the issue. I got exactly the same error when reading 1.8 m rows from a CSV.
As mentioned earlier by Firelinks, if type is explicitly specified and there is mixed data that is not compatible with that type, then loading will crash. I used a converter like this as a workaround to change the values with incompatible data type so that the data could still be loaded.
voces bottom, we can sell our accessory.